Hi, I'm Bob,
And I'm Sherry.
and this is Mostly Politics with Bob and Sherry.
And today we're interviewing the chair and co chair of Moms for Liberty of Washington County. We welcome Heather and Brittany. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey guys, thank you for having us. We're so happy to be here.
Hi, thank you. I'm
Okay.
Heather. Thank you.
Well, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and what was the process of establishing Moms for Liberty and what inspired you to do this?
So my name is Brittany. I'm the chair and just a regular mom. I'm married and I have three children. Two are in elementary school. One is in preschool still. So I have a long journey ahead of me as far as schooling goes. But I got really frustrated 2 years ago when we went back to school. Our district was open 5 days a week, which we thought was fantastic. The end of the school year, though, Heather and I actually met through the PTA prior to COVID. But that year during COVID, we were not allowed in the school, not allowed to volunteer for anything. So finally in May, after my kids were in school the whole year with masks and shields and all of it, I walked in at the end of the year for Fun Day. And all the kids have a party outside. They get so excited. And walked into the cafeteria. And if you've ever been in an elementary school cafeteria, the volume level is like 12 out of 10. Well, on this particular day, probably like every day that whole school year, the volume level was maybe a 3 out of 10. There were 12-foot tables in the cafeteria. There were only 3 children per table, staggered. My daughter happened to be in the middle of the table and sat behind a plexiglass shield for her lunch. I was immediately nauseated and upset, went in the bathroom, called my husband, and I told him that I felt like we sent our children to prison for the whole year. And we thought it was a good thing because at their age that they needed to be in school in person, learning that way. So that's kind of what triggered me. I started reaching out to the administrators, the local county commissioner, our state representative. I had been watching Senator Mastriano's fireside chats through the whole pandemic, and I messaged his office, so someone from Mastriano's office responded to me after my big, long story and just said, check out Moms for Liberty. They were the only words. So never heard of it, looked into it. It sounded great. So I immediately started the process and did some interviews with them. Learned a lot about the organization. I had to get 10 members. So Heather was obviously the first person I thought of to help me get this going. And she graciously agreed to join me in this wild ride. So we just got started in September of last year. We were an official chapter, and we are now one of 24 chapters in Pennsylvania alone. And there's over 200 chapters across the country. So we're very happy to be here, finishing up our first year and excited with lots of plans to keep things going.
Yes, as we launch into year 2.
Yes.
We've learned a lot in the last year, and we're definitely more well seasoned in our mission. So
We also, this summer, we went to Tampa for the Moms for Liberty Summit, and we were very inspired. We heard Governor DeSantis speak, his wife, Ben Carson,
Allie Beth Stuckey was there.
James Lindsay, who talks a lot about CRT. So we got some great information, and we're kind of getting ramped up here to start our second year.
Yeah, it's great.
Heather, what's your story? How did you get interested and involved?
Well, I got involved in politics about 6 or 7 years ago, just starting on individual campaigns, but really got more entrenched in the Republican Party as time went on. I have also homeschooled my children. So I've had kids in a public or a private Christian school. I've homeschooled. They've been in public school. So I've always been invested in my children's education. So this is a natural fit for me. And I feel like I can understand, the positions of a lot of different parents and choices that they have to make, because I've made similar choices. So, to really advocate for kids, and it is sort of a mixture of, grassroots and politics. I feel like it was a really good fit for me. So.
And how old are your kids?
I have a daughter who's 18. She just graduated from high school. And then I have a 13 and an 11-year-old.
Wow. You guys are
All
busy
girls?
moms.
I have girl, boy, girl.
Okay.
So what is the mission of Moms for Liberty, and what are some of the things they have done thus far?
Moms for Liberty is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America. We want to unify, educate, and empower all parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Everybody's welcome. And we want to defend our parental rights at all levels of government. So we're working to hold decision makers accountable. Obviously want to get good candidates to run for school board and get them elected to those positions so we can really make changes starting at the local level where we feel we can be most impactful.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that, all of the chapters in there when they're starting, these fledgling chapters, which are really mainly run by volunteer moms, we're just starting at the local level, meeting with administrators. You have to really educate yourself first before you can have those conversations. So there's definitely a learning curve. And then with the groundswell of Moms for Liberty and how it has really exploded nationally, as we progress and grow, then we're able to sort of take it up the chain a little bit and start meeting with local officials and try to, impact legislation and advocate for things on, a state and national level.
And Heather, you posted on the community update on your Facebook page some of the updates. Can you tell the viewer some of those things that you posted?
Yeah, the one big thing that's happened is in May, I did a right to know request for sections of a newly purchased curriculum. It cost the school $150,000, and it is something that they're going to use K through 12. So I requested portions of that, and my request was denied. So they were claiming copyright infringement, but actually, if you read the copyright law, the type of research that I'm trying to do doesn't really fall under that provision, and it's not against copyright. So it is on appeal with the Pennsylvania State, the Office of Open Records. We have yet to get a final determination, and it's actually a more complicated legal argument. It's not as simple as just copyright, but that was one of the examples, the reasons why they denied it. So we haven't had a ruling, which is encouraging. They've had it for quite a while now. And I'll just wait. We should be hearing something soon. I feel like the longer they have it, the better it is, because I think they're really doing the research and considering the argument that I presented. So I'll let you know. We'll keep you updated as soon as we hear something. The other really important thing that happened was Brittany and I went to the Ringgold School District Administration. We met with the Assistant Superintendent, the Director of People Services, and the Director of Curriculum. So really the point of that meeting was to start a dialogue about, concerns that parents have when it comes to whether or not school districts are choosing to, use elements of, critical race theory and social emotional learning, diversity, equity, inclusivity. Some of that I think is okay, and some of it is definitely not. So because schools have the right to pick and choose what elements of the curriculum they're going to use, we really wanted to start a dialogue with them about that. And also share some of the concerns about books that are in school libraries. We're seeing, chapters all over the country are uncovering books that are inappropriate for children. I mean, it's just not, they're being exposed to material that is not appropriate for their age. So that's another thing that we've asked the administration is that can we bring a book list to you, and let's take a look at the libraries starting with the elementary. So that's something else that we have in the works. And we were really encouraged at that meeting. We really felt like just coming forward and bringing the issues and allowing them to, give us a platform for discussion. I feel like that was in good faith. So, yeah.
The other part of our meeting and the other thing we're really fighting for is transparency in curriculum.
Absolutely.
So Heather and I felt better after that meeting and having an open dialogue. We were very upfront with them. When we asked for the meeting, we gave them a list of, our concerns. So they knew where we were coming from when we got in there. And we were reassured more than not, I think, during the meeting. There were a couple red flags, though, still, and things that we learned that we have to look into a little bit more. So that's one of our goals here, is to get parents having these discussions and really get through to school administration, school board members, that we just want what's best for our kids, and we just want to know what is happening. That transparency is really the most pivotal role in learning what's going on with our children. And we need that to really feel confident and comfortable.
Well, and I think we're not on a witch hunt. It's not sort of some opportunity for us to expose something. What our hope is that our school district is making good choices, that these books aren't on the library shelves. It would be the greatest thing for us to come back to other parents and say, hey, guess what? By the way, we don't have any of these books. I mean, that's our hope, so, alerting the school to the concerns of the parents, and then being able to reassure parents, hey, you know what? We've tackled some of these issues. We've looked at some of these books, and we are working together. That's really the message that we want to put out there. That's our goal.
Heather, do you know anything about the Reveal Math program? If you do, I'd like you to talk about it.
Well, I don't know anything about that particular program. However, what I can say is that they've woven SEL into all of the math programs. If that's a new pilot program, I did look it up, but it doesn't really sound all that much different from, other programs that are out there. What really happened was after Common Core was introduced, one of the platforms that was really important was that they started weaving English into math. And math actually is almost like a hybrid subject now. It's like part ELA and part math. And that is where they can weave anything into, the subject, because then they're combining questions. There's a ton of reading in math, so they can put anything in there that they want. And that's how they effectively achieve that.
And Sherry, one of the things I looked up Reveal Math, I've researched our curriculum in our own school district. And within 30 seconds, I could scroll to the bottom of the page and you can see the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. So again, at Ringgold, I was able to find all of our curriculum for math, ELA, science, and then the one Heather's talking about that they just purchased is called Leader in Me. So, and my question was, what subject is that teaching? Why are we purchasing a curriculum called Leader in Me? But it's the SEL. It's teaching kids because of the trauma of the last 2 years and kids not being in school. They're really focusing on positive behaviors, anti-bullying, safety, thinking of other students. So we are, I looked into at Ringgold, we have a comprehensive district plan. So every district, at least in Pennsylvania, does a plan every 3 years. So I found Ringgold's current plan online and I was able to find all of our curriculum. So our math curriculum is called Reflex Math, and it looks very similar to Reveal Math. You can't see much of the curriculum when you look these up on your own online, which is why Heather had to file the right to know request to get some more detail. We want to see the books, the workbooks, how it's being taught to the students, because that's part of it. So, on any of the curriculum, you can go on their website, and I would say most likely than not, you will find their diversity statements, on them. So what our district told us during our meeting in regards to the Leader in Me program is because of COVID, school districts were given ESSER, ESSER funds for things pertaining to COVID. They could have been used for the cleaning products, the plexiglass shields, ventilation systems, extra staff. Part of it should be used for getting caught up in learning, the learning loss that occurred. So the Leader in Me program was purchased using those funds. And part of the requirement of using those funds per the state is that it involves social emotional learning, the SEL. So what our district assured us was that there are multiple curricula out there that they could pick from, and they picked the one with the least controversial. I believe they used buzzwords, so they don't want to see social emotional learning, CRT. They said they are instructing their teachers to not even go near these boundary lines, the political hotspots, focusing on race and gender. They're really encouraging their staff to not even get close to that. And they told us that, parents should talk to their teachers up front. And then if you notice anything, really get out there, talk to the teachers and escalate it from there if necessary. But they want an open dialogue, and they are trying to keep that out of the school the best they can. But that they had to pick a curriculum that included this teaching style, but it's their goal to incorporate as little as possible. So one example that one of the administrators we met with got a little embarrassed about, there's some surveys. I don't know if people are familiar with like data collection going on in schools and surveys that kids are being given. And he said one of the curricula they looked at that they did not purchase had a lot more surveys and really asking students about their feelings. And some of them go into drug use, sexual activity, safety at home, feelings, and really
gun
focusing.
Ownership, things like do your parents have guns at home?
Political party,
political affiliation, all kinds of probing questions.
Right. And he got a little embarrassed and uncomfortable and didn't want to repeat, but he said, some of the ones they didn't purchase had some content that he was not comfortable with. And so we were assured that they, hopefully picked the one that had the least amount of it. But now that it's out there, what we want to see is, each teacher can teach it differently and can present it differently. So we really want to see what's happening. And they also assured us the workbooks will be coming home this year, which was a problem the last 2 years. Our school district used a lot of Chromebooks, and it's really hard to navigate and recreate things on the Chromebook once your kid says, I had to answer this question, and then you can't find it again. So, we're hoping with getting away from the computer usage that we'll be able to really see more. However, I would want to throw in here, my children are not in our school district at this time. We pulled them out last year and did a cyber charter school. And my children did very well with it and really loved it. And so we are resuming that again this year. However, even in the cyber charter school, I got an email probably sent to me by accident by a teacher that they were not going to have live classes the one day because they had to go to diversity training. So I'm not naive in thinking that just because I pulled my kids out of the brick and mortar school that I saved them or I'm protecting them from it. But what I like about the cyber charter is they're in my home. All of the materials were sent to my house a month and a half ago. So I can look at every workbook, every page they're going to complete, and I can review all the classes are recorded. So if I'm not in the room and don't hear things the first time around, I can go back and review anything that is said to them. So I've been pleased with the program at the cyber charter. It's not perfect, but at least I feel I can see it and kind of protect my children, because at their young age, they don't understand a lot of this. It's kind of going over their head, but I just don't want it to just kind of keep being subtly shown to them and, causing questions down the road that I want to talk to my kids about when I feel it's the right time.
I want to go back to the survey you were talking about. So the survey is part of the curriculum. The school can make a choice of purchase or not purchase.
Well, I think the surveys come with it. And surveys are huge. Surveys are popping up in schools all over the place. That's something certainly that, Moms for Liberty chapter groups, and we communicate, across states. This is things that parents are finding that kids are bringing home, things that they're supposed to fill out in school, and then they're bringing them home in their backpack. So they're getting revealed. Survey and data collection is a huge, big red flag, and should be for any parents, because they are data mining children in so many forms, and having digital curriculum. And it really cuts the parents out of the process, because like Brittany said, something comes up and then it also disappears. They use all kinds of apps with the school. On their Chromebooks, there's all kinds of learning apps and information well, it's not necessarily information, but apps that are being used that children are interacting with. And they're just collecting tons of information on the kids. It's all kinds of things. The problem is, if you, as a parent, it's really hard to look at these things, especially if they're only using them during school time hours. So that's another thing that we're looking into is apps that are pushing agendas in the school district and out of the school district. So there's all kinds of, there are tech people that are working on, uncovering some of the concerns about apps. So, for example, there are apps that kids can log into, and then from there they can log into other things, and it doesn't put a tracking cookie on it. So what happens is when they back out of that app, you're not able to actually see what they did while they were in there. Now, why those apps would be on kids' Chromebooks, but this is the kind of thing that tech parents are exposing. Now, we're not operating on that level, but from where we are, it goes so much deeper that we just have to take one thing at a time,
Where can parents find these information? All the things that you guys are talking about, the example of the app. Is there a particular website they can go to and
Well,
find
I'll
the
tell you,
information?
there is a woman, her webpage is called EF Parent. And I'll tell you what, she is a research warrior. She has great information on her Facebook page. She has explored tons of information at the state level, at the national level, at the global level. And she does have, she's done a video series that you can watch on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there are links on her Facebook page to that. And she has a ton of information. She's a fabulous resource.
And so the goal then is for parents, though, to look on their district website and then open the dialogue like Heather and I did and really meet with them in person and ask them, what is the curricula you're using? How are you teaching it? And talk to the teachers.
And look on their Chromebooks.
Right.
Ask the kids, sit down with your kid and say, will you open up your Chromebook? I want to see your lesson, whatever they can pull up. And look at the apps that they're using. What are the names of them? Even if you just start with what the names are, then you can look into it yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think parent involvement is paramount. I mean, parents have to do this. We can't, the two of us or even the whole Moms for Liberty community, we can't be the watchdog for everybody. So more parents need to get involved and they need to see what's happening with their own children.
Mm-hmm. And one kind of blanket statement, because this is so much information, it's overwhelming even to us at times as we're still learning all of this and it's changing constantly. But on our Moms for Liberty Washington County Facebook group, we've posted some information and some opt-out forms. So I might suggest that parents even take a look at those. They can adapt them as they want and add and change things. But until it's going to take time to explore and see what is in your district and what's being taught. So using the opt-out form could be kind of a good start to at least say, hey, we don't want our child to participate in any of these surveys.
Yeah,
we don't feel comfortable, or we want to see it first and give permission for our child to use it. Our goal is parents should have to opt into these things, but we're not at that point. So the forms are available and people can reach out to us and, we can send them over. But we have a lot of good resources. Mm-hmm. One website is called Courage is a Habit. They have fantastic information and opt-out forms on there. So I would recommend parents to start with that, at least take a look at it. And then hopefully they go into their district and they find that maybe they overreacted a little bit. Maybe things aren't at that level right then. But at least I think it kind of gets it out there to the teachers and the administration, where you stand on these things and that you're not comfortable with it. You want to know what's being taught and asked of your children before it happens and not hear about it after. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a bill passed in Pennsylvania Senate. It's a bill SB 1278. It's a bill that prohibits sexual orientation and gender identity teaching to K-5 students. Can you tell us a little bit about the bill? It was narrowly passed with 28 plus 1 Democrat voted yes, 21 Democrat voted no, and And then does your organization investigate sexual orientation teaching to primary elementary school children?
So a little bit about the bill in general to start off. It was introduced by Senator Scott Martin and Senator Ryan Ament. And Senator Ryan Ament has a great web page. It is www.senatorament.com. And then you can click on the Empowering Families and Education tab. And
How do you spell almond?
AUMENT. So they work together to introduce this bill. It is similar, if anyone has heard in Florida of Governor DeSantis, his inappropriately nicknamed "Don't Say Gay" bill. His was for K through 2 only, and it is not a "Don't Say Gay" bill. It is wanting to have these discussions with children at the parents' discretion when the parents think their children are ready for them. So after his got introduced, our Pennsylvania senators worked on this one. Some of the highlights of the bill are to prohibit classroom instruction on gender identity and sexual orientation for grades pre-K through 5th grade students. And that is consistent with the timeline for when existing academic standards on general sex ed begin in the 6th grade. Mm-hmm. They also want to require adherence to existing state standards of age-appropriate content for any discussions on these topics occurring in the grades 6 through 12. They want to prohibit a school from withholding information from parents in accordance with existing state and federal laws. A big goal of ours, increasing transparency by requiring the public schools to develop a policy for notifying parents when there's a change to a student's services or monitoring. And then a big component of it is protecting students in the LGBTQ community by providing critical exemptions. So if they feel that there's maybe an unsafe situation at home that would prevent information being shared from the school to the child's home, that they don't want any safety issues to happen, then there needs to be further involvement there. But in general, they don't feel that schools should be withholding information about, a child's pronouns that they want to be called, or their gender or their sexual orientation. That some schools are keeping that information secret from the family. So the bill does allow, though, knowing there are circumstances where a child might be unsafe. So I think it's a good thing that they have that in there, opening to maintain the safety of children in all situations.
To answer the second half of your question about the curriculum itself, when we had the meeting with the administration, that is something that we're going to file right to know for. What is the sexual education curriculum at the school? Where is it taught? Is it taught in a separate class? Is it taught through the health class? Who's teaching it? And really, what is the content? Obviously they teach the biology of things, but does it extend out into some of the more controversial topics that are concerning for parents? So that's also something that, to be continued. We'll know more after we get that right to know.
Does Moms for Liberty, what's your involvement in recruiting, campaigning, and electing school board members?
Yeah, that is definitely a focus for us. It's been a very challenging area for us as well. We're just kind of starting with encouraging parents and concerned citizens to attend a school board meeting. We just want to start there.
Start there.
Yeah, find out when are the meetings, how does it work, and just get in there and kind of get comfortable. Because we need to know who are those 9 school board members. How have they voted on things? Where do they stand on things? It gets a little tricky in Pennsylvania because school board members can run.
They can cross-file.
Thank you.
Yes.
So it gets a little tricky sometimes. Maybe you're not sure where they stand, but it's good to open conversation. Their emails are usually on the district website to try to reach out to them. So that's our first step. And so from doing that in our own district, we have met lots of parents and getting people involved, aware of what's going on. And we're trying to look for good candidates within our own district, and then also encouraging throughout our county for parents to get involved, to kind of take the leap. I mean, I've never considered being a school board member before, But I tell you, I feel a little more comfortable after going to meetings for the past 18 months and knowing what's involved. And I also have an appreciation for how difficult their job is, because there's always parents and citizens on both sides of the conversation. So they're hearing it from both sides. And so I think it is a difficult position. It is not paid in Pennsylvania. But I think they sometimes forget that they were elected by us, and they have to listen to us. It gets frustrating at times at the board meetings because they don't always respond to you. And some solicitors give that advice. It's better, not to say things and not to respond in that setting. So reaching out, getting to know your school board members is paramount. And then from there, you can determine the elections coming up in November of 2023 for school board candidates. Mm-hmm. So I believe 4 to 5 candidates should be up for re-election, or their position will be open in next year. So the parents need to find out in their district how many of those seats will be open, and then start finding candidates. So we can help with that a little bit. We have some questionnaires that have been designed just for school board candidates. So we would offer those once we get closer and people are announcing that they're running. We will offer the questionnaire to all candidates, and whoever returns their questionnaire, those results can be shared, at our meetings and with the community. Moms for Liberty is a 501c4 organization, nonprofit, and we have to watch our political involvement. So at this time, we are only endorsing school board candidates. We cannot provide endorsements for other political positions, but we can definitely share that information. We would have a voting session as it gets closer to the election, and to show our endorsement for any candidates. We have some trainings available because Pennsylvania is one of the states in the country that has the highest volume of chapters for Moms for Liberty. We are the first state to get a state coordinator.
Our own state coordinator now, which is great.
So, and her name is Lois. She's out central PA a little more, but she's been involved in grassroots for many years, and she has done trainings. We have already attended one. She has a couple more scheduled, and they're trainings on, we're just moms, and, how to get involved in politics, how to door knock, what slogans should you use? How does campaigning work? How do you raise funds? Just kind of getting involved there. So if anybody's interested and wants that information, they're considering running or working with candidates, we can share that information if they reach out to us. And we also have been working with a company called Leadership Institute. And Heather and I attended some of their trainings when we were at Summit. And some of them are free. Some of them have a small fee. Some are virtual, some are in person. But I definitely recommend anybody interested start to check those out. They have worked with politicians from the local level to national level, conservative training. So, those are the people we're looking for that are adhering to the Moms for Liberty mission and values and are like-minded, that we really want to help get into those seats so we can start turning things around in the schools.
So to some of the moms, you're saying we're just moms, and I think you guys are doing a lot as on a volunteer basis. To some of the people that afraid to get involved, or and saying they don't have the time to get involved, what would you say to those people to encourage them to get more involved?
Well, there are people that are afraid. We know, for example, a woman in our community who is very active. She would be a fabulous school board candidate, but they also own a local business. And so she is concerned now that school boards are really in the spotlight, and there's a lot of controversy with school boards. They're trying to decide whether or not it's a good fit as a local business owner. So I think that's a real concern for lots of people. People don't want their name out there. They're concerned for their family, for their kids, for their businesses, just the, public opinion even. So, I always say there aren't very many people that are willing to stick their neck out. We do see more and more people, but, what we know is that behind us, there are a whole bunch of people back there that are, I don't want to say they're hiding behind us, but they definitely want to get behind the leaders. And really, I think as people educate themselves and they become passionate about what they feel is really a strong issue for them, they're sort of more willing to come forward and, if they get some training and they know that they have some support, they're more likely to get more involved. And so that's what we're really trying to do, is encourage people and say, listen, if we can do it, you can do it. And you just start small. Everybody starts where they are, and we just try and meet people where they are, whatever their level of involvement has been in the past, that's fine. You can support people if you don't want to door knock. You know what? You could donate $20 and help them buy some signs or some palm cards. Or if you're really good on social media, you could help people with posts, or if you want to make phone calls, or you can help in so many ways on a campaign where you don't actually have to be the face of that. So there's plenty of opportunities to serve. Whatever your comfort level is, there's a place for you. And that's really the message that, stay-at-home moms or working moms or any dads or uncles or grandparents, there is an opportunity for you to help the people in your community if you want to get involved. So we are providing resources, but we're still learning ourselves.
One of the things we have monthly chapter meetings, and we start off.
Yes, come to our meetings.
Yes, come to a meeting, and just get started. We start off with the Madison Moment, something from one of our founding fathers, just a profound statement that maybe really applies to kind of what's going on in the news at that moment, something to encourage us to, why it's so important to step out. I mean, these are our children. My children aren't even in our district, yet I'm fighting in the district because I'm worried about everybody's children. They're the children that my kids are growing up with, and their generation is paramount to our country's survival. So it's really just getting educated. I think
educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Educate yourself, and look at some history. It doesn't hurt to pick up a history book and look at societies throughout history that are in a familiar place where we are right now. Kids have always been a vehicle through which policy changes can actually happen. So, history is something that we talk about. We talk about legislation. We talk about, we coordinate with lots of other parent groups that are popping up all over the place. There is a network of people that are working on all kinds of issues related to liberty. So, because we're, under attack on all fronts. So, you can find, there's lots of organizations depending on what your passion is. And we can help provide that information to people. So, find us on Facebook. You can email us.
What's your email?
Moms, and then the number 4, Liberty, washco@gmail.com. But yeah, one of the highlights of our meetings, also we've had speakers come. We had someone who started a hybrid homeschool out in Hickory, PA. It's called a one-room schoolhouse. The president of that group came and spoke with us a lot about homeschooling and resources for that. Heather did homeschooling. My kids are in the cyber charter school, so we have a little bit of our own experience there and can connect people to resources if they're looking into those options. We had a local state representative come and speak at one of our meetings. We had Stacy from EF Parent come and speak with the data mining and the collection of information on our children. So, we try to get a variety of people there. And it's just a nice group to really be able to express your concerns without judgment, and and just kind of hear that you're not alone. And so for me, that was, I think, my first step. My children are still young. I didn't really know a ton of people in our district, but I couldn't imagine starting that school year with masks again. And I started a petition, and I remember I was sitting in my driveway after work talking to my sister-in-law, and I said, you know what, the school board meeting is in 24 hours and nobody has done anything. Like, what is wrong with all these other people that nobody in our whole district has done anything? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do it. Never started a petition in my life. I got on, I thought, if we get 20 signatures and we can present that at the Zoom school board meeting tomorrow, I think that would be pretty good, right? 24 hours later, when that meeting started, we had 491 signatures. Yeah. I was floored. And so that for me was my, I had my upset moment, like the light bulb turned on when I saw what happened with our kids. And then I was still waiting for somebody else to do something. just like everybody else was. We're all busy. It's hard to make time for it. But in that moment, I just thought, enough is enough. I'm done. So now the petition had over 700 signatures as it went on. And I realized, wow, there's a lot more people out there that feel the way we do. And that helped us start just a Ringgold parent group where we can kind of all share information in there. Some of the other districts within our Moms for Liberty have their own parent groups too that are very strong, and we kind of share ideas with each other. So it's been really helpful. But I think, just starting small, I sent out that petition, and I think there was just no turning back after that, just knowing how many people are out there, and maybe they're not in a place, they don't feel comfortable. I have not been involved in politics whatsoever. I'm a nurse. This is not my comfort. I do hospice nursing, so it's just very calm and controlled. I don't like a lot of excitement and things out of my control. So this is totally out of my comfort zone, but I have never believed in anything more. And I am so blessed that Heather is alongside me in this journey because we really complement each other. Where one of us is struggling, the other one just kind of picks up as our lives get busy, and things happen with our kids. So we've been really lucky to have each other through all of this. And we would love to, help other parents and community members who, are just ready just to get their feet wet. And, we're not asking people. We did a rally in Harrisburg last October, spoke on the steps of the Capitol. Never thought I would do that before in my life. So, but we don't expect everybody to do that and get to that comfort level. But, we just want to have conversations with people and just help
and push some resources their way. That is one thing that we can do, is we can connect people with other people who are fighting. There's a lot of forums, a lot of avenues that these grassroots movements are into. And depending on what is your biggest concern, we can probably connect you with someone who is working on that. So,
as a Chinese tiger mom, it breaks my heart to see our kids is ranked number 34 in the world in mathematics. Number 34. We're below Vietnam, which is a tiny little Asian country. Now that it doesn't matter, but we're below. So we're 30, I think 39 and 34. That means 33 other countries are doing better in mathematics than United States.
Right.
I mean, that should be concerning to everybody.
Absolutely. Right. But we're taking time to teach all of this other
emotional learning instead of academic learning.
Right.
So that's why we're here. That's why we're fighting for it. Exactly that point is that parents really want to see, the rise of education. They want to see American students thriving. We are certainly one of the most prosperous countries, and our academic achievement does not reflect that. So, we want America to get back to, being at the top where we should be. Really just back to the basics, getting kids reading and doing math, the old reading, writing, arithmetic. I mean, there was something to be said for that. And it's been complicated in a lot of ways as they're, pushing agendas through education. And that is exactly what parents are upset about. And they should be. People should be mad. They should be more mad than they actually are. People aren't mad enough. We don't think.
Right.
So, but really, I think until it comes to your doorstep, it seems like people want somebody else to take care of it. Well, you know what? In America, it's at every single doorstep. It's every kid. It's every school. So we want people to really take, to recognize that and, fight together. Let's do it together. The parents can change this. We can change what is happening in education. It's just going to take a whole lot more people. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. This was a fantastic interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the
ladies.
opportunity.
Thank you for what you guys are doing too. We appreciate you so much.